Hi everyone, Chris Hale here from Profit Squirrel. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing really fantastically well. Thank you for joining me in this video, the latest Profit Squirrel vlog. In this episode, we are going to be talking about Arb Shooters and how to lay your bet in the best possible way when you're doing Arb Shooters, when you're taking advantage of that product. When should you lay and how should you do it? What are the best strategies for making sure that you make the best return on your investment, making sure that you make the most amount of profit? So that's what we're going to be looking at today. If you don't know about Arb Shooters already, click the link on the screen and you will see an introductory video that I did explaining exactly what that product is, what it all does, and why I am so excited about it as well. Our membership is growing nicely with that product, so you'll be in good company with other people around the world now that are actually making money with Arb Shooters. So check that video out if you don't know what I'm talking about. If you do know what I'm talking about and you're ready to learn how to do lay betting in the best way possible for Arb shooting, then watch on because I'm going to talk about that right now. So the first question is, when should you place your lay bet? When should you place your back bet even with Arb Shooters? Well, with Arb Shooters, what you want to do is you basically want to place the back bet with the bookmaker as soon as you get the alert on your phone, because that is going to give you the biggest and best chance to actually get the price that we send through with the bookmaker. So say we send something through and it says back at 12 at the bookmaker, William Hill for example, then you want to get straight over to William Hill and put that back bet on. So you back as soon as you possibly can, and as long as you can get those odds that we send through on the bookmaker, that's when you back. So if you place your back bet as soon as you can, when do you place your lay bet? Well, there are 4 different strategies that you can use here depending on how much risk you want to take, and also depending on how much profit you want to get out of the alert, the Arb alert. Now, I want to give you these 4 different options because I know people like to do this differently. Some people would prefer just to lock in the profit every single time, and that is totally cool. And some people would prefer to treat this more like trading, where they kind of could get a really good result instantly, but they could get an even better result if they do something a bit different or if they wait a bit longer. And that is totally cool as well. Both are really valid ways of doing it. And it just depends on what your risk tolerance is and also what you enjoy as well. You know, which one you're going to find best for you in your situation. So with that being said, I'm going to go over 4 different ways that you can actually lay the bet when you get your Arb Shooter alert through. So let's check those out now. So in each of these examples, I'm going to be using the free match betting calculator on the Profit Squirrel website. You can access that yourself just by searching for free match betting calculator Profit Squirrel, or you can go to the Profit Squirrel website here. I'll link to that below, and you can get access for free to this calculator and also to our Dutching calculator as well. There's a lot of good free calculators on here as well, but that is for another video. So I'm going to be using that calculator throughout this video just to give you examples. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk from least risky to most risky, 1 to 4, on the betting, lay betting strategies that you can actually use for Arb Shooters. So the first one is basically laying as soon as the lay odds get lower than the back odds. So I'm going to give you an example here. So say for example you had an alert come through and it said it was 8:30 p.m. at a racetrack, say Tampa Bay, something like that, and we say in the alert that the odds are going from 3.25 down to 2.75. And that's the sort of thing that you're going to get through on your phone. And then in this example, what you would do is you would head on over to the simple calculator, and we'll go ahead and we'll put in our back stake here of 20, and 3.75 are the odds. And then we're saying it's going to go down to about 2.75. But the important thing is this first way of laying is one where as long as it is below 3.75, you should go ahead and place your lay bet because you're going to lock in a profit. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, so let's imagine that lay odds are 3.75 as well. And I'm going to put my commission at 2%. Now, you can get 2% commission on Smarkets, and you can also get 2% lay commission on Betfair as well. Now, if you don't know how to do that, go ahead, click the link on the screen now, and I'm going to link you to the video I did about the Betfair loyalty scheme. You can basically go into your account and you can select the option to benefit from 2% commission with Betfair, which is really nice because you get the 2% and you get the additional availability in Betfair. So that's why I'm going to set my lay commission at 2% there. And basically you can see that when the lay odds and the back odds are the same, we're not going to really be making a profit because we're paying that commission. But once this starts to drop, say to 3.7, down to 3.6, there you go, you're in profit now, 3.5, 3.4, and so on and so on and so on. The more these lay odds drop, the more profit you are going to make. So if it drops all the way down to 2.75, which is what we were suggesting, in the Arb alert, at a £20 back stake, you're going to be making a profit of £6.93. So my point here is that if you're following this lay betting strategy, as soon as those lay odds get below the back odds, you can place that lay bet and you can lock in a profit right there and then. So that is a great solution for somebody that doesn't want to take too much risk. You're happy just to keep stacking up the profits. And even if you just place this at, I don't know, 3.25, say, you know, you're going to be making £2.75, £2.80 profit, and that is over a 10% profit right away, even on a £20 back stake. And the thing you got to remember as well is that we have multiple Arb alerts every single evening. So if you're racking up £3 every single time, you know, that's £30–40 a night at least. So you might as well do this. And the benefit of doing it this way is that you know your profit is locked in. You don't have to worry about waiting or watching the race or anything like that. Just as soon as you see the Arb alert, place the back stake, wait, see, wait for the lay odds to drop. As soon as they're below the amount that you place the back stake at, bam, place your lay stake, you've locked in your profit. So that is strategy number one. It is the least risky strategy, and it is the one that if you're new to this and you're a beginner, you're just getting into Arb Shooters, I would say follow this strategy number one. Strategy number two is something we call presetting the lay price. Now, this is still a little bit more hands-off. You know, you don't have to hang around watching the lay markets forever, but it is something that on the risk scale, it's getting a little bit more risky. And when I talk about risk, what I'm really talking about is the likelihood of your lay bet getting matched at the price that you set it at. So if that's more likely to happen, then I consider it less risky. And if it's less likely to happen, or there's a chance that your lay bet won't get matched, then I would consider that more risky. So that's what I mean by risk. But let me give you an example of what this would look like. So say you've got this alert through that I mentioned before, and we're saying that it's 3.75 going down to 2.75. So let me give you an example here. So say we've given you an alert and it's saying it's going from 4 down to 2, for example, then you know that's going to be a good ROI. So what you might do is you might go ahead and you might place your back bet at 4 with the bookmaker, and then you might go to the race. And this is not the specific race. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to find a random horse race here. So I've got this one in Angers, France. And what you might do is you might actually preset the lay odds. So for example, say the notification has come through on, I don't know, say this horse, okay, Cadesco. If you go ahead and you click the lay box here, what you can actually do is you can actually type in the odds here as well that you want it to match at. So for example, say we said it's at 4 and it's going down to 2, then I could say, all right, it might go all the way down to 2, but it's at least going to go down to 3.0. So I go ahead and I type in my backers odds, as it says, but these are the odds of your lay bet. I type that in as 3. I put in my stake, whatever that is. Now I calculate that on the calculator by changing the lay odds here to 3. And that would give me my backer stake here of £26.85. So I would copy that and I'd go ahead and I'd hit paste. and then I'd place that bet. Now what would happen, say the market hasn't adjusted yet on the exchange side of things, the market's probably still going to be around 4 or 4.0 or something like that, because there isn't an arbitrage opportunity at the moment. So what you're going to see is this thing that you've just placed at 3.0, it isn't going to get matched probably. It's almost certainly not going to get matched actually immediately. And say we're about 20 minutes, half an hour before the race, what we would assume would happen is that the lay odds will get shorter and shorter, and then at some point before the race starts, this is actually going to get matched off, and then you're done. You've made your match bet and you've locked in that arb profit. The benefit of doing this is that you can lock in a little bit more profit probably than my first method, where you're just backing and laying as soon as you see a difference. You can probably lock in a little bit more profit here, but the key tip with this is not to be greedy, and that's why I've set the lay odds to 3, even if the arb alert says they're going down to 2, because as you probably have found if you've been doing this a while, sometimes it goes down to exactly what we predict, but sometimes it goes down to, close and not exactly that. Like, for example, it might go down to 2.1 or something like that, which is basically 2, but if you have tried to lay at the backer odds of 2.0, then that probably won't get matched, you see, and then you'll have a horse race going off where you don't actually have a matched bet, you've only got a back bet there. So that's why this is a little bit more risky. However, you might want to consider it if you want to try and lock in that extra bit of profit without that much extra work. Example number 3 is to strike last minute. Now, what this means is that you're actually watching the lay market and you're holding off placing your lay bet until just before the race starts. Now, the reason you might want to do that is because typically the odds, if they're going in the right direction, they will keep dropping up until the start of the race. And with the lay odds that keep dropping, that basically means your profit keeps increasing. So that is something that you really might want to consider doing, and it's often a really, really good way of making extra ROI, extra return on your investment with your Arb Shooter match bets. Now, if you're going to do this, you just got to be aware of the fact that you don't want to leave it too late, because if the race starts, then you're probably going to see slightly different odds, and you may not always be able to get an in-play market as well. And both of those mean that you may not be able to get on your lay bet, which means again that you run the risk of just having the back bet there, and it's not actually a matched bet, it's not balanced, you're actually just having the back bet on and you haven't had a chance to lock in that guaranteed profit. So what I would suggest here is 2 things. One, have a look at the time that the race starts. Say, for example, it starts at this one here, 4:10, okay, have a little look at that, and then go ahead and click this button here, which is the live stream. And what that will do, I've got to log in to see that, but what you will actually see is a lot of the horse races don't actually start on time. So that says it's going to start off at 4:10, and maybe we'd expect the horses to be boom going at 4:10, but in reality it's often about 12 past, 13 minutes past, something like that. And if you're actually watching it live on the screen here, you can actually be fairly confident that you know when the race is actually going to start, and therefore when these lay markets and the back markets are actually going to stop accepting new bets. And typically what that is, you watch the horses going into the starting stands, the gates, and maybe you have 8 horses, and then typically what we see is these lay markets stop once the last horse has gone into those gates. So if you're watching that and they're still sort of milling around, you've probably got a little bit more time. But if they're all in those gates, then you're probably going to see that the lay market is closed. So just watch out for that. The other tip I would suggest as well is to go ahead and hit this refresh button on Betfair. And you'll see that if I hit this button, the odds change more rapidly. And this is a really, really useful tip, because basically what I'm doing here is I'm getting updates faster than most people that are probably using Betfair, because If you don't hit that button, the odds only change once every, I'm not sure what it is, it's maybe 20, 30 seconds, something like that, but they sure don't change as fast as if you hit the refresh one here. So I would encourage you, as it gets closer to race time, if you're using this third method to lay, waiting up until the last moment, just hit refresh, watch the odds changing, and make sure that you at least get a lay bet on in time. You don't have to wait until 30 seconds before, even 4 or 5 minutes before the race starts. It's probably going to give you a better result and more profit. The fourth and final strategy for placing your lay bets with Arb Shooters is probably the most risky strategy, but it is one that a few people in our group do enjoy doing because the returns can be so much greater than you otherwise would be able to get. And basically what that is placing the lay bet in play, or basically in race, but they call it in play. And what this is, I'm going to show you an example on the screen of what this looks like. If you have a bet which is unmatched, then you can actually select this option and it will allow you to carry on and take the price that is available during the race. Now, this is something that you might want to do if, for example, you've got an alert on a horse which has basically become the favorite, or, for example, you may know the horse or something like that, and you've seen the prices drop quite considerably, then you may believe that actually you're going to get a better, even lower lay price for this horse during the race. Now, this is the most risky strategy because your horse might not do well, and if the race begins and the horse is, say, at the back of the field and doesn't look like it has any chance of winning, then you're going to see those lay odds going up and up and up, and you may not even be able to get your match on at a profitable level. You know, it may go higher than if you had have just laid it before the race began. But conversely, on the other hand, if the horse goes away and it looks like it's doing really, really well, then those lay odds are going to be dropping and dropping and dropping, and basically you are going to be getting a higher ROI, a higher level of profitability. So this isn't one I would recommend for people new to this or with a small bank. You know, you want to have a decent bank to be able to do this sort of strategy, but it is an option. And for those people out there that are more into trading or just more into horse racing, this might be something you want to consider as well. Totally up to you. So cool, that is all 4 strategies. If you have any questions on them, ask me in the comments below. In summary, I would suggest if you are just getting started to this and you just want to make profits, go for the earlier strategies that I mentioned, the least risky ones. Just get the bet on, make your profit, lock that in. If you want to dabble with a few other things, maybe edge towards strategy 3 and strategy 4, take on a little bit more risk for potentially a bit more ROI. Completely up to you. You got to decide which one works for you. So cool. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video, and of course hit that subscribe button, because we are, as always, coming to you with fantastic content every single week. Content on match betting, on Arb Shooters, making sure that you know what you need to know to make the most profit online from match betting, from Arb Shooting. This is the place you need to be. So hit that subscribe button. New videos every single week. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all again in another video really, really soon. Bye for now.